Jim Jones took to the microphone and yelled at Cam'ron and Mase. Harlem trembled. Old wounds resurface. Drama from the Dip is returning to the streets. Uncertain if it was the reality or just another trip, fans gasped. Legends become adversaries. Harlem's crown is now up for grabs once more, along with the loyalty dilemma.
And I gave them food and shelter when they didn't have it, not saying they couldn't get it. But they know the situations that they were in, you know what I mean, as school kids. And
so they were in school, they got kicked out, you said?
Both of them got kicked out.
Both of them got kicked out and you gave them food and shelter. How did you have money for food and shelter?
I learned how to do it.
What the f you talking about, man?
They came to live with me in the projects in my grandmother's house.
In your grandmother's house? Oh, but she was gone.
Passed away.
So you got the apartment to yourself. They come, but you still got to pay the rent.
Yeah, I paid the rent. I paid for the love rent. That was Mase manager. I was a hustler. I always been a hustler.
You were in the streets.
I know how to make money.
Why are we going to Jomo's house? I heard the news you did. Yo, you want to come through? Come through. So yeah, I would bring some business over there sometime. Look, maybe.
How much do you credit you being successful to Cam?
I credit a lot to Cam, but I also credit a lot to us because behind closed doors, it was us that put him in that position.
You was a fan. You begged us. You were a fan, nigga. A fan.
I mean, he was doing music a long time and things like that, but it was a pivotal moment where before he got signed, them 2 years was very crucial to everything that we did together in his journey of becoming who Cam is.
Do you remember how we met? Pause. So not met, how you got cool with us? Basically, you heard our freestyles. Yo, man, I heard the freestyles. Y'all killing shit.
There wasn't times where Cam had to do what he had to do to make $1 and things like that. But from the beginning, I always had to make $1 because I always been on my own.
Yeah.
I raised my whole family since I was a teenager. I used to hustle and get my mom's money, you heard it. My first job in this thing was a hype man for Cam. You know what I mean? But I started as Cam partner, became in this mission wholeheartedly. I knew what my job was, he knew what his job was.
What was your job?
My job was to make sure nothing happened to that man while he was trying to be successful, because I knew that if he'd be successful, then he would turn around and make him successful. And that's exactly what happened.
You was not there, man. You wasn't there. You were fanned out and you begging us to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in.
I'm extremely happy today. I'm extremely happy of what I've accomplished, who I've become, what I've overcame, what I have the ability to do.
Mase actually taught you how to rap, literally. He taught you how to rap.
Mase taught me how to rap.
You say it.
Whenever I do my interviews, I'm very real with myself. You know what I mean? Like, I know the whole playing field.
We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization.
People get this picture painted like I'm from the real bottom with nothing. I've been traveling on the train since I've been 8 and 9. I've been telling people this for years. Like, I'm a real anomaly. Like, I'm different in New York City. I was a man long before I was supposed to be a man.
Get out of here.
How you made Diplomat? Yeah, you ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. So you gonna sit around and act like you been around all this Harlem shit and everything. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you gotta keep saying, I'm from Harlem? From Harlem, know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem.
You know, is the rapping popping yet? Is, you know what I'm saying, Mase and all that going on yet, or are they still coming up?
I'm not gonna sit here and do a discography, my brother. It's a little bit too much for me. And you ain't pay enough for that. So if you got some other questions you wanna ask, or you could erase all this and I could send you your money back. Either or. I understand what's going on and the plight of everything that's going on and people wanna know the history, but this ain't the way that you're not gonna be able to get the whole Jim Jones or Jomo story for that. What you did, I thought this was some regular questions. Seemed like you're trying to get everything up to every point, and that's not gonna happen right now. So if you wanna ask some questions, I'm cool with that, but you definitely can't ask me all these questions you're asking, my brother. So if you got some you wanna ask, you better ask and get it off your chest. But I ain't going through this with you because you don't have enough money for that. No disrespect.
Okay, I mean, I could do more of a regular interview, but I definitely plan to ask about the Cam'ron drama. Is that stuff okay, or is that not okay?
You can ask what you want to ask. You heard? But I'm just telling you that if you think I'm going down the timeline of my life with you, it's not going to happen, my brother. You heard? You're going all the way back to high school. I respect it, and I understand your job as a journalist. So As a journalist, you ain't got enough coin for that.
What you think Cam gonna do? You think he just gonna sit there and you think he gonna and Jim basically Jim rhymed first. You know what I mean? Well, actually Cam and 50 said what they was talking about what they said. Jim heard that. He came back and said that. Now motherfucking Cam, what you think Cam gonna do? Cam is a lyricist. He's gonna make you feel any type of stupidity way that's possible. He's gonna say shit to basically kick you in your nuts. You know what I mean? He's gonna rip your heart out. Remember the old school when they was doing electric boogie and they grabbed the neck by the heart, pulled the heart, and they just had it in their head. And bit the through it, stomped on it. That's what you gonna hear. It's basically they was going back and forth. After that, like I said, it went to the money. That's the whole point of the situation. Yeah, he's gonna say Jim is from the Bronx. Everybody else on the side, your group of niggas, be like, yeah, the peanut, he's a peanut gallery. They gonna make up all this shit to make sure to turn the peanuts into peanut butter and whip it into something else to make it all a whole bunch of different shit. Then my niggas is gonna talk about your feet and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, just to, like, that's everybody who's from Harlem got some family in the Bronx. Everybody who got some family in the Bronx got family in Harlem. Yeah, Jim is from the Bronx and he came to Harlem. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, you gotta understand the war. Like, Jim it's like battling. It's like rap. Like motherfucking rap. Jim, whatever, but they wasn't. They was on platforms. And Jim said what he said. Jim, I think what he said, something about inviting him to his, so he said, he said, they on my dick, right? That's something that's serious. Like, you hear that, you like, ooh, it's like Jim caught a ball. Oh.
Do you consider Jim a Harlem guy or no?
Jim basically was with Killer for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Cam already, you gotta understand, Jim had family in 1199 and Cam had family in 1199 and they both had family members over there. So that's how that connection went on as far as, cause Bloodshed and everybody was over there. So that was the connection with that as far as being First Avenue. First Avenue, they built up these condos called 1199 and Cam had family over there and Jim had family over there. So when Cam and Digger and Bloodshed was rocking, that was how Jim was able to make that connection because Cam was going to First Ave and Jim had family on First Ave. You know what I'm saying? At a real young age. We was teenagers though, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in that area. You know what I'm saying?
Cam and Jim history go back before me. You understand what I'm saying? When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim, you know, whatever he said, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when I got there, Cam and Jim was like this, super tight. Mase wasn't even in the picture. I don't know Mase like that. You know what I'm saying? Every time I seen Mase, it's been a mutual, you know what I'm saying, respect there. So, you know, that's what that's been as far as me and Mase. You know what I'm saying? As far as, yeah, when I met Cam and Jim, they were already Trump tight and locked in. You understand what I'm saying? The Diplomats was already a name they had. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and claim I made the dip, so that's not something I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I made Dipset though, the two. Yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying? But now people got these platforms where, you know, they asking people, so it's like a thin line. So then you got Jim, like, it's just like people say, you can't respond, even though Jim wasn't attacked, his name was mentioned. You understand what I'm saying? So now it opens the door for Jim to say something back. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? With these podcasts and shit like that. So it opens the door, and Jim chose to, you know, say why niggas was on his dick. You know what I'm saying? That's how Jim chose to carry it. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Cam chose to carry it the way Cam chose to carry it, and you have what you have now. You know what I'm saying? All I can say is Jim and Cam are very competitive. You understand what I'm saying? They've always been competitive, and it got to the point to where, you know, they had to be competitive against each other. I really looked at podcasts the other day. I was watching a bunch of podcasts. I'm like, it's crazy how all these old stories are getting everybody into so much trouble. These are just be old stories. Even like all that Cam said was something. He said all that on a live he did before, or pretty much like he did. You know what I mean? With him and Jim had some words. You know, they weren't on the best of terms years ago. So you know, it's just new to the new listeners. You know what I'm saying? And the new internet fans and the new people that are on, you know, these podcasts and listening to these podcasts. So, you know, this is just like a double back of something that happened a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, did this again? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of, like I said, you know, because I have my own issues with, you know what I mean? Behind the scenes, or whatever the case may be. We all probably have our own issues behind the scenes with whoever, but, you know.
The wedge that came between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being Capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's kind of like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Gotti's probably gonna feel a little way if Sammy becomes the main man. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, that's what it is. Jim started to grow as an artist. And as he started to grow as an artist, he started moving from standing behind Cam to he started standing next to Cam. And then it got to a point where he stood in front of Cam. Mm-hmm. And Cam was looking him over his shoulder like, yo, what you doing? And then that built the animosity. And by the time Ballin hit, Cam had a gang of animosity and internal hatred. And I know because I seen it, I was there. He was under the wing. Jim was the muscle. You get what I'm saying? Jim he's Cam's partner. But he's taking a step back to play the muscle. I felt like he was a fucking hater because like I felt like he was supposed to be happy for Jim.
For the most up-to-date hip-hop rumors, breaking celebrity scandals, an unvarnished streetwise commentary that you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe to Slap Talk Media. Keep the drama at bay. Stay up to date on industry beefs. Additionally, don't miss any special updates. Press that button right now. Slap Talk Media never sugarcoats anything.